second? And I have to identify yourself because I cannot see.
That's both funny. I'm sorry. He is
Thank you. Okay, great. Now please go to the motion.
This motion was actually inspired by our Executive Council meeting on March 17th. There was some attempt to add amendments to the original motion made by Hal Huntsman at the Academic Senate to include all the different aspects of professional and academic matters that are in the original proposed board resolution. So the intent here is to find a middle ground and to return the academic and professional matters contained in the original proposed draft board resolution to the proper purview of the Academic Senate, and that timely, and I mean timely, things that move forward through the shared governance system properly be immediately addressed by the faculty if this motion passes. I think that's all I can say. Oh, I should say that I've consulted a lot of people, I've been to a lot of meetings, and I did do my best to include every concern I heard in this motion. Notice that the word collegial does appear a few times, and I hope that we can return to a collegial interaction about the subject of equity, which I think is truly important. And this whole last few weeks, we've found ourselves quite distracted from dealing with equity and matters of our students, and I really hope we can come back to focusing on our students and dealing with the substance of the issue, which I think everyone in this room, especially people who came to this meeting, but everyone in the college agrees is an urgent matter.
I wish you could agree. There she is.
I'm going to read a couple of names so people know when they're coming up. Our next speaker is going to be Nora Goodfriend Coven, and after her, Harold Fragley, and after her, Chris Schaefer. So Nora, if you would like to speak.
Well, good afternoon. I'm Nora Goodfriend Coven of the Health Education Department, also on the Executive Council of the Academic Senate. I was taking a couple of notes. I guess one of my major concerns, well, I have many of them, but that expression of not throwing out the baby with the bathwater. As I read through the Board of Trustees resolution, of course, there were many, many items that I really agree do not belong in their purview whatsoever. However, I did feel like the spirit and the intent of that resolution was really important for us as faculty to pay attention to and to truly think about the students, some of whom are here, who are saying they are not getting their educational needs met by us. I've also been listening very attentively to my colleagues in the beginning part of this session, and I've heard Dennis very clearly talk about the resolution that was passed on the 17th as not being quite the right resolution, at least for him, particularly that be it resolved at the bottom of the page that directs the board of... No, the green. I am getting it.
I'm sorry, you do need to address the yellow one.
I am addressing the other one. In terms of the specifics of Francine's resolution, starting at line 36, where I get really uncomfortable with this one is the reasonable timeline, because reasonable really depends on who you're talking about. And I would imagine that our students feel that a reasonable timeline needs to be very immediate. So I would like to see that language changed to the number one priority. So that would be my suggestion. And I don't know if Francine would consider that as a friendly amendment. But rather than reasonable timeline, it should be our number one priority.
Thank you so much. Francine, do you want to take an amendment? You better stay near the microphone.
And so if
I understand correctly, line 37 of the proposal is to change the phrase, establish a reasonable timeline to place the highest priority?
Yes.
I could accept that as a friendly amendment.
Okay. Is there a second? I'm sorry. Who was ours? No, I'm sorry, but we need to ask the second as well.
Traditionally, that's the second year.
And Gus, you're good with that? Is okay with it? Okay, great. No. And Bonnie, I forgot to acknowledge that Bonnie Gratch-Lindauer is helping us by trying to keep track of what we're doing here. You got that, Bonnie? Great. Thank you. Okay, now we'll go on to our next speaker, who is Carol Fregley from English.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me? First of all, I have to say it's a real honor to be here. I'm Carol Fregley from the English department, and I am honored to be here among my colleagues and people who are as concerned as I am and have been for many years about the equity gap. And I do believe most of us really want to work together in a shared governance way without offending each other and causing more division. My question is, in the name of equity, the proposed resolution does not really provide parity for a significant segment of our student population, and I don't believe that they were included in the original student equity hearings, and those are the evening students. And because so many of them are now caught in the economic problems that we have, they deserve the equal amounts of services that are provided to the day students. And nothing in the resolution, anywhere, in any of these resolutions, addresses the fact that evening students do not get equal access to learning support services, which would help them get through our sequences much more quickly. They do not get to use the reading lab, the writing lab, the tutoring center, because those services have been cut, and yet they're held to the same standards in their classes as the day students. Also, evening students do not get access to child care. They do not even get drop-in child care. They do not get equal access to student health services, particularly mental health services. And at this point, many of our students, our evening students, are returning vets from Iraq who are going through major stress. They're people who are being pink-slipped on their jobs and losing their jobs. They're coming to class so that they can go into the job market more prepared, but they have to deal with the current problems that are affecting them. And finally, of course, many of them are trying to graduate, and we've canceled summer school. So my question would be, if we could revisit this entire resolution and really get input from our entire student body, including all the evening students who never got to say what their concerns were, I think the resolution would be far more reflective of student equity.
Our next speaker will be Chris Schaefer, and after that, Kovac Williamson.
Is this all right? Can you hear me? I feel I have to say something. Oh, I'm sorry. Chris Schaefer, Transitional Studies, Engineering, Hearts Program, 31 years in the system, having come from the jails to here, taught in the jails for the first 5 years with City College, was on the outside, didn't know anybody, academic senate, nothing else, got in the union, did the academic senate for 10 years, the union for 10 years, and the Hearts Program got a mention, so I thought I should say something about what it is possibly, and speak to some extent to the issues at hand here. I'm sorry about the divisions that have gone on. I've been hearing about these for the last couple of 3 years. It just saddens the hell out of me. We fought for years to remove ourselves from administration and to save ourselves in the governing board, which we used to use as a tool against the administration for those of you that have been here for a number of years. We used to march our students down to the governing board meetings and put them up in front of the governing board to get our issues through when we didn't get what we wanted from the administration. And then we kind of took charge as faculty, and I think we should keep charge as faculty and stay and work together. If we separate, we're not going to work. It's just not going to work. Somebody's going to co-opt this. The governing board's going to co-opt this. The administration's going to co-opt this, and we're going to end up in the middle of nowhere trying to get somewhere, and in the meantime getting nowhere. My students are the poorest of the poor. The Hearts Program provides fast passes and food for students, thanks to the associated students. The first people that came through to help the program with